So last weekend, a situation kind of played out to where I offended somebody that had been helping me, ever since I had joined, um, working for the clubs and different things like that. He was a person that had been teaching me how to do the lighting and the sound and different things like that, which I'm grateful for. And he has blessed me in many other different ways. I could say initially because I didn't really understand him that much. I found him as annoying. He's an older gentleman. He talks a lot. Um, but I just realized, at times, um, different people are lonely. They do certain things to, um, have that exposure to people and be able to interact with different people. And so, I had to come to that understanding, which isn't the point of this message. The point of what I was bringing him up for today was um, there were some videos, and this is a lesson we can learn. There have been some videos that I found funny. One guy in particular, he had been messing with me for years or whatever, but I just thought it was funny. Um, a video that I've seen of his. And I immediately thought of somebody upon seeing the video and not thinking that, um, it was any issue because I done had jokes from him or whatever. He done said certain things, and you know, even though it annoyed me, I let it, roll off or whatever. I didn't think that he would have an issue with me sending this particular video and joking about a particular thing that had happened. Um, but after I had pressed sent, this when I realized I was wrong immediately. After I pressed sent, the Holy Spirit started dealing with me on why I was wrong. And so, while people try to demonize different things, this was as recently, was this last weekend. So God still deals with me, and I still recognize when I'm wrong when I do things. I believe when you come numb to certain things, that's the issue. But getting back to the point, sent him that video, ended up seeing him the next weekend, and I was like, just uh, trying to gauge to see if he had synced it or if he had thought it was funny or not. Like I said, he had done pretty goofy jokes in the past. I ain't gonna get into those, but those jokes had uh, made me feel like I had license to joke with him like that. Which, like I said, after I had sent the message, I found out that it was tasteless or whatnot. So he ended up saying, "Don't send that ish to me anymore." And immediately, like as he's saying that, you know, because I didn't mean anything in the past, I feel like my reflex was to be like, well, that's not what I meant or whatever. I feel like you're taking it the wrong way. But instead, I decided to listen in that moment. And I'm like, well, and then upon me listening, I reverted back to the moment where, God showed me that it was wrong, number one. And then I thought back to, um, a lot of man's pride go into, their ability to do certain things. And so, joking about certain things, isn't funny to, other guys because it's certain things like we kind of pride in our identity with, our strength, our ability to figure out a situation, whether going to, the realm of sex and different things. And so you have to be careful how you speak on certain things because you can cause different people to become offended. And I didn't recognize that was something that I was doing in a moment. But as I said, after I had sent the message, God was started dealing with me. Like that wasn't, that didn't have any taste. Pretty much, it's certain people you can probably do that with, but I immediately knew that that was wrong, and so I didn't have, a wrong reaction when he said what he said because I realized that I was wrong, and then I apologized to him. After processing all of that, I was just like, I apologize if I had said anything to offend you. I thought it just would be funny. We joke with each other in the past. I just assumed that, you would find it funny. And so, all that to say, you have to understand the sensitivity level of people. Everybody is not going to have your same sense of humor. Everybody is not going to find the things that you deem funny, funny. And if we're being honest, some things we shouldn't find funny. Um, some things I feel like and I know I'd be in trouble with laughing with or laughing about at times. But with all that being said, even if you find something personally funny, um, you shouldn't expect everybody else around you to find it funny. It's going to, certain people certain people, like I said on Facebook, sometimes I got dark humor where I can laugh about things that aren't supposed to be funny, like almost dying by choking on a corn chip. I'm laughing in the midst of choking on a corn chip, and I'm thinking that's funny in myself, to myself that I'm about to get up out of here by way of Frito. And everything isn't funny to everybody. That's just something that we have to recognize. You have to be aware enough to realize that if you're not at a comedy show or whatever, you're not getting paid to do it. It's probably wise that you shouldn't say it, especially within this society. Um, Especially if you're doing it to be provocative or to try to get a rise out of people. So just something I was meditating on, my experiences from last week. Peace.